So I hope you are still with us after that marathon of a last video. I don't know if that was a marathon or a sprint, but we went to town and made a whole bunch of new files, and I mentioned it was Fast and Furious 7, but we added in, and we successfully added in a new mutation to create a goal. Now the thing is we never had any query to output any of our goals. So we can never say like goals or goal or whatever, give me this or that. We can't because it doesn't exist. We never made that query. And we don't need to make that query because we're not going to use our goals on their own. In fact, we're only going to use them in the context of resolutions. And so that should give you some clues here about what we're going to do. We're going to head to our resolutions.graphql file. And we're going to go ahead and create a new type, or not a new type, but a new definition on the type of resolver, which we had ID and name. And we're going to have goals. Now, goals is going to be an array of a goal. Check it out. So we're going to have an array of individual goals, which we defined as its own thing here. And we're defining it here. This is the first time we've done this kind of thing. The closest that we've done to this kind of thing was to have an email field, which did not exist on the user, and then we wrote our own custom resolver to output the emails, or the email itself. Now in this case, we're saying, hey, we already have this goal schema defined. Now give me an array of something that matches those goals and output them as goals themselves. Now, I'm going to give you a second here to attempt to think about this. What is a good way for us to actually write this resolver? In fact, I'm going to give you a chance to write at least the root of the resolver right now. So if you like challenges like this, go ahead and pause the video. This is a great time to challenge yourself to say, hey, I'm gonna write a resolver for this. Okay, so pause the video and try to do that. I'm going to actually get rid of this comment that we had at the top here a long time ago. And now this schema is a little bit more complete. And I'm also going to head to my register.api file and update this file by just adding to this comment I have here. This is the dumbest thing ever. I hope this gets resolved soon. Again, if you're just checking in, I have a comment here which is re-importing all of these things to bust our cache on resolution, or on our .graphql files. It shouldn't have to happen, and it's probably getting fixed, but just so you know, you got to do it. Okay, so no error servers. Again, if you are attempting to do that on your own, welcome back. What we're going to be doing is heading to our resolvers file, and this is going to be the resolvers that lives inside of resolutions. Okay. And inside of resolutions here, we had a query type of a resolution. We had a mutation type of resolution. And in between those two, I'm going to have a new one. And you might be able to guess what this one is. In fact, this one is going to be in line with exactly what we decided in our schema here, which was goals. So let's consult our user resolver file as well. And you remember we had it as user. So the type needs to be the type of the schema, which isn't goals or it isn't user or whatever, it's resolution, right? Because we're resolving something on this type. So we're going to resolve from resolution. Sorry, I need a colon here and a comma here, just like that. And the field that we're going to resolve is once again going to be a property on an object. And in this case, it's goals. Now, goals, again, is a property that has a function here, and I will clean this up afterwards, but the parentheses inside of this function is going to have our individual resolution. So answer me this. How can we get an array of goals where we just have a resolution, entire resolution object here? Well, if you thought about this, we have access to the resolution ID. So if we do resolution._ID, let's go ahead and just console log this out here. And in my graphical, I'm going to head to my graphical here, and I'm going to say resolutions, give me the goals, and hey, give me their IDs. Sure, why not? Goals is going to give me null because we're obviously not returning anything yet. But if you add your command line, boom, we're getting an ID, and this is a resolution ID. If you remember back to the last video, in our mutation, we assigned a resolution ID to an individual goal. So we should be able to query the database with a find using that resolution ID. It's awesome. So let's go ahead and first import goals, capital goals, from ../goals/goals. Next, let's going to come down here and we're going to do a find. So goals.find. And we're going to say, hey, give me all of them with a resolution ID equal to resolution.id. Then we're going to do .fetch. Okay? Then we're going to return this. And this is going to blow your mind at just how simple, incredible this is to do relations. Resolution ID, sorry. Thank you if you saw that spelling mistake here. Let's go erase that. And again, we could actually clean this up. I'll clean this up in a second here so you can see what's going on. But again, this goals is resolving this, okay? And this expects an array of goals. And sure enough, we're doing a find using the ID that we just got, and we're going to be returning an array of goals. So therefore, our graphical editor should now actually work. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hit go. And boom, just like that, we have an array of IDs. And we can do name, check it out, do 10 handstands. This is super duper amazing. And check it out. I mean, this is just so cool because, well, goals isn't even part of resolutions. And resolutions isn't even storing goal IDs anywhere. There's not an array of goal IDs. This allows you to not worry about how the data is stored in the database and just worry about how to grab it out of the database. Now, granted, you would in a production application want to make sure that things like resolution ID are an index in the database. I haven't even touched on that kind of stuff yet for performance. So if you are yelling at me about that, do not. I mean, I understand that anything you're finding on in Mongo, you're going to want to make sure is an index. But for now, this is pretty darn sweet. Ways we can clean this up? Well, we can remove these two brackets and we can remove this return sign and bump this up like this. And remove this fetch just like this. This cleans it up a little bit, although I don't know if this reads as nice. It depends on what kind of style you like for your stuff. I don't mind this at all, but if you do, you can feel free to have it any sort of way that you like. The only thing that matters is we're returning the result of this goals.find. Now, any sort of additional one we add here, let's say we want to do 30 seconds, submit, head to our graphical. Let's hit this query again. We're still getting all of them. It's so super cool. And also, let's go ahead and ask if they've been completed or not. Completed. Let's go. Let's see it. False. Neither of them been completed. You can get any property that exists on the entire goals object. Now, again, I mentioned this on Level Up tutorials, but you could just grab things left and right. I could say, hey, give me this tutorial, then give me its tags, then give me all of the tutorials that share those same tags, and then give me those tutorials tags themselves. I mean, you could just keep going and going and going. I mean, the possibilities are seriously endless. Now, you might be screaming about performance and stuff like that, and there are certainly ways to check to make sure your queries aren't a definite time sink. But doing something basic like this, where you're simply grabbing IDs and then hitting your database, shouldn't be a huge deal if you only have a few IDs. Now, you might also be thinking, well, it could be a better idea to have the goal IDs actually stored on the resolutions. That way you could do one database find, like find in with those IDs. That's definitely a possibility as well. Again, this isn't necessarily database schema design 101 or something like that. This series is mostly to show some of these features. So check it out. We now wrote a really awesome custom resolver that's hopefully blowing your mind, because not only do we have access to all of our goals, but we have access to any sort of field on our goal through the resolutions schema itself. without even have its own goals query or anything like that. So these last couple of videos have been a complete whirlwind. I apologize if you got behind or I was talking too fast. Again, follow the code in the repo here. I wanted to instill some of these ideas, and then what we're going to be doing next is actually writing the UI for this. So in the next few videos, we're going to be writing the user interface, and we're going to be improving that significantly. But now that we have that out of the way, you have nailed down some of the most important concepts in GraphQL, and you should probably be jaw on the floor right now about how cool some of this stuff is. So, as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Again, if you want to help support Level Up Tutorials, head on over to leveluptutorials.com/store. And you can purchase anything I got there, or you can become a Level Up Pro, subscribe, and get access to fancy premium content every single month. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.